Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my Q&A video. I mentioned this back last month that I was going to be doing this, and I have to admit to something. I actually recorded this, I think at the beginning of this month, and I never uploaded it. I thought I uploaded it, but I never did. And unfortunately, because I thought I did, I had deleted the video file off my old computer at that point. So yeah, we're recording it again on the new computer and everything now. I think I've gotten all of the questions that I had before. If I'm missing any or anything, just tell me in the comments and I'll answer them there. Or if you just have any questions you want to ask that you've thought of now or whatnot, ask them in the comments. I'll answer them there. I do apologize for this taking so long to get out and everything. Again, I did record it beforehand, but I thought I uploaded it and didn't. So, we're just going to get right into this. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible, but it will probably end up being pretty long. So, maybe you could listen to this more while you're watching something or doing something else, um, because I don't know, it could end up being quite a longer video. If I go into things too much. We'll see. We'll see. Either way, so let's begin. So we're going to start with some questions from Everett Taves. Everett asks, first of all, have you ever heard of / read Fallout Equestria? If you have, what are your thoughts on it? If not, what do you think of the concept, and would you be interested in reading it? Well, I've definitely heard of Fallout Equestria. I don't think you could be active in the Brony fandom without hearing about it at some point. Um, I've never read it. I'm not the biggest Fallout fan, to be honest. I've wanted to read it, I just never got around to it, but because I'm not the biggest Fallout fan, it was never really high on my priorities list. I know little bits and pieces about it, but not like the full story and everything. Um, would I ever be interested in reading it? I guess so. I don't see why not, but it's not really, again, high on my priority list. Your second question, Everett, have you ever heard of or played the Zero Escape trilogy? I assume video games. If you have, what are your thoughts? If not, what do you know, and does it sound like something you'd be interested in? I've never heard of it. I've never heard of Zero Escape trilogy. I don't know anything about it. So I honestly can't say if it's something I'd be interested in because I don't know anything about it. So, yeah. And your third question, Everett, was what is your favorite game genre? I assume specifically video game. My favorite video game genre, that's kind of hard to say because the games I'm into are just so diverse. Like, seriously, the games I play are just a really diverse set of games. If I had to pick one genre I think I like just in general above others, it'd probably either be RPG or fighting. Um, those are the two genres I've played most and I tend to gravitate towards most often, I guess. Um, but yeah, it's like, other than that, I don't know. Okay, so Sasami-chan, you were next. Your first question, best and worst examples of representation in cartoons, movie, television, etc. Um, so I remember answering this in my original recording of this, and I just went through this entire massive list. I'm not going to do so this time. I'm just going to name a few examples off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, there's Ruby and Sapphire in Steven Universe. There's Korra and Asami in Legend of Korra. Uh, Newly revealed, there's Star Butterfly in Star vs. the Force of Evil. Um, of course, you have great ones like, oh, what the fuck is her name? I can't think, oh my god, I can't think of her name. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I can't think of her name. Ellie. Ellie from The Last of Us. There we go. Ellie from The Last of Us is a great example, and even Bill from the same game. Like, you could count him too. Just various examples like that. You obviously have Harley Quinn. You have Deadpool. Characters like that in comics as well. There's a lot of great examples. Worst examples, that's a little bit of a tougher one because, I mean, there are bad examples. Shiro from Voltron. Basically, any character who feels like they're just made LGBT for the sake of having that representation rather than, actually thoughtful additions of it. When it feels forced and just completely unrealistic in its execution rather than, natural, that's when it's bad. Or in the case of like Puri Puri Prisoner from One Punch Man, where it's just actually straight up insulting and just terrible. So that would be probably examples of best and worst representation. Your second question, though, what steps would you take to see what steps would you like to see media, government, and other companies take towards welcoming trans people? Well, just welcoming them, basically. Just accepting them, welcoming them, letting them be in larger positions, helping the job market be more accepting towards them because, let's be honest, trans people are extremely prejudiced against in the job market. Um, just stuff like that. Just actually being inclusive towards them. Okay, so next we have Ronnie Meow's questions. So Ronnie asks, are you okay with Trump being president? And short answer, no. Longer answer, fuck no. Trump is an absolutely horrible, evil human being who is just completely disillusioned with the will of the American people and the desires of the citizens. He doesn't care what other people think. He doesn't care about the facts. He doesn't care about just common decency. He's just absolutely horrible in every way. And he's not even a good president. He doesn't get anything of note done. And the stuff he does get done is so terrible for our country and its people that it's ridiculous. And not to mention, he's just a complete buffoon. Like, seriously, the dude's as dumb as a brick. But moving on. B, how do you feel about trans people being pushed out of the military? I believe you said Army in your question. I just changed it to military in general. Because the trans military ban, I think, is an account for all military branches and all. I'm obviously against it. I mean, as a trans woman myself, I just feel it's outright stupid and completely just discriminatory beyond reason. It's just disgusting. There's no reason for it. The so-called reasons that Trump and his cronies spout for it have been disproven so often by science and just intelligent people in general. Like the entire thing about how like it's dangerous because like trans men aren't as strong and shit, and it's like that is so vastly disproven. Shit like that. Either way, next, how long do you want your hair to be in a few years? Well, I'm growing out my hair, obviously, and I want it to be long. I want long hair. In a few years' time, I definitely want it to be, like, obviously down on to my back and everything. I don't have a really specific length or anything, just I just want it to be long. What is your opinion on Blair White's videos? Okay, so when I first recorded my original video for this Q&A, I actually did not know who Blair White was. I actually had to look it up during the video. Apparently Blair White is a trans YouTuber, and she's known for being very conservative. I've checked out a couple of her videos, and just in general, I don't really have any strong opinions because I haven't seen enough. But from what I have seen, I don't like her. I think she sounds very elitist and very snobbish. She definitely seems to go against her own well-being with just being a modern conservative. Because let's be honest, modern conservatism is just, it's not, it doesn't work. You can't just I mean, you can be trans and modern conservative, but if you are, it's kind of contradictory. They're exclusive. They don't make sense together. They do not mesh. Because modern conservatism is anti-trans. It's anti-LGBT. So it's like, that just makes no sense to me, but whatever. In the end, I probably won't check out any other videos from her, so it won't really bother me too much. Your next question, do you like cold food? I guess. I have no issue with cold food. Cereal with milk tends to be cold. I eat cold pizza out of the fridge sometimes and cold leftovers and stuff. I have no issue with cold food. I love ice cream. um, I mean, I like food hot as well, but yeah, I have no issue with it. Have you ever broken a bone? No. The worst injury I've ever gotten, I was leaving a friend's house and I misjudged the step out of the door. I fell and slammed my knee onto the porch. It's a stone porch. Slammed my knee onto it, twisted my ankle really badly, and I could barely move for almost 2 months. That's how bad the injury was. Um, and it got better. I had plenty of rest, and I didn't move much and everything. And it did get better, but yeah, it was bad. It was very bad. But I didn't break a bone. I never have broken a bone. What types of people disgust you the most? Um, Anyone who follows the ideas and lack of morality of Trump and his supporters. Anyone who would willingly and knowingly hurt a child, rapists, those kind of people, sexual assaulters in general. Anyone like that disgusts me. How would you describe your relationship with your brother? Just kind of there. It's not like it's not great, but it's not bad either. It's just like we're just kind of okay with each other. We used to be a lot more aggressive towards each other to the point where we'd have actual legitimate fist fights. Like, mostly when we were down in Georgia, during my last 2 years of high school, we were really bad with it. um, we would literally, like legitimately fist fight. Like punching, like legitimately punching each other hard. And it's not something I'm proud of, but I won't ignore my past. I won't ignore the truth. But yeah, we've matured since then, and we're just we don't hate each other, and I don't even think we did back then. But we're just we're just kind of okay with each other now. We're not like super great relationship or anything. But yeah, your next question: can you sing? I can do karaoke, but I can't sing. I'm not a good singer. I don't have a good singing voice, but I can do karaoke. um, Okay, so next we have Space Apples. So Space Apples, your first question. Favorite JoJo arc? So do you mean like a story arc within all of the different parts, or do you mean a part? Because my favorite part of JoJo was part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. And that's still true even currently, even though Narancha from Vento Arreo has quickly risen up as my favorite JoJo character. um, and definite husbando. But yeah, definitely Diamond is Unbreakable is still my favorite part in total. My favorite arc, just in general, an arc? I don't know. Because that's a lot harder because there's a lot more like story arcs within all of the series. Um, Parts 1 and 2 mostly were just, each of them mostly had just one main story arc to them. Part 3 had a lot more than that, obviously, with 2 seasons and just so much going on. Part 4 had quite a few. I guess if I had to name one, I would say from Part 4 from Diamond is Unbreakable, it would be It would be when Kira is first introduced and he has his confrontations with our heroes. Um, like middle of the series, basically. I believe it was. But yeah, he's first introduced. We first actually see him, and he interacts with Shigechi, with uh, Jotaro, and all the others for the first time before he changes his appearance. I would probably say that's my favorite arc so far that I can think of off the top of my head, at least. What do you usually eat for breakfast? Well, when I wake up in time for breakfast, a lot of the time I'll eat leftovers or something super simple. If we have cereal, I might have a bowl of cereal. I used to eat eggs a lot more. Like I'd fry up 2 eggs and put it on toast and stuff. And like I used to do that a lot more often, but I don't do that anymore. At least I haven't for a long time. I'd be willing to. I still like that, but just haven't. Um, but yeah, most of the time I wake up around 10 to 11 a.m. So I'm not even up in time for breakfast, really. Unless I have a late breakfast, in which case I'd have a late lunch too. But it's like, yeah, when I do wake up, just whatever I can get, really. Favorite Wakfu secondary character? That's a tough one. Because the secondary characters don't stand out as much in my eyes. Um, I mean, for Dofus, I can say that based on what I've seen already, and it's the pirate girl, because she's fucking adorable and I love her. um, but for Wakfu, I mean, I could say Cleophy. Is it Cleophy or Cleome? Because I keep hearing both names, by the way. I like Cleophy better. It sounds cuter, so I'm going to say that for now. Um, Ava's sister. I'd definitely put her up there. Then there's that little pirate girl who I can't think of the name of right now. I always liked her. Um, hmm. I guess you. I never was really super into Joris in Wakfu. Like, I like him more in Dofus because he seems to just have more of a personality, if I'm being honest. Um, I guess you would count. Would you count Echo as a secondary character? Or would she be counted as a main villain? I mean, she's not the main villain. That's Oripo in season 3, but would she count still as a major character? Because I mean, if not, then definitely her. Would she'd be up there? Toxine as well. I like Toxine. Um, yeah, it's just hard because the secondary characters aren't as memorable, you know? At least not to me. Okay, so next up, do you snore? I honestly don't know. I've been told by some people I snore. I've been told by other people I don't. I don't know, and I don't really have a way to find out because I'm sleeping, and I'm not gonna just have my a recording going all night while I'm sleeping. So yeah, I don't know. What if Samuel L. Jackson was the genie in Aladdin? No, I don't think he would work as the genie in Aladdin. He's a phenomenal actor. I love Sam Jackson, but no. Honestly, Will Smith is perfect. From the trailers and everything we've seen, Will Smith is perfect. He's never going to be Robin Williams. He never will. No one ever could. But from what we've seen, he's a perfect choice otherwise. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? Butter pecan, easily. Favorite Superman version? I assume you mean like which version of Superman, which like animated version or live action version or whatever. Um, I liked the guy who played him in Superman Returns. I know a lot of people don't like that one, but I did. Um, and our current Superman is great too. In the DCEU, I cannot remember the actor's name right now. It's like sometimes I remember his name, sometimes I don't. But yeah, the DCU Superman is good. Um, hmm. And I like the Superman from Young Justice as well. So those are some of my favorites. I don't know which one I'd say is my absolute favorite though. Favorite Batman version, I can answer this one a little easier, though. My favorite Batman is just straight up the Batman the Animated Series one. I love a lot of the live action ones, in fact, most of them. But it's definitely got to be Kevin Conroy as Batman in the animated stuff, the animated series and other stuff that he's appeared as Batman in. Okay, your next question, Space Apples. Am I crazy? As in you? Because other questions you've asked me, you say you're, as in asking me, but you're saying, am I crazy? So, are you crazy, Space Apples? I don't know. That's up for you to decide. And maybe a trained psychologist. Or psychiatrist. I always get those mixed up. Favorite nursery rhyme? I have no fucking idea. I didn't know when I recorded the original video either. I don't know. Baba Black Sheep? I don't know. What's your power level? Broly's power is maximum. And what's happening? A Q&A video. Don't you know what you're watching right now? Okay, and the next set of questions, this is the longest set we have, and this is from my friend Harley. She sent me these questions separately. So yeah, we're going to answer these as well. This is, I've talked about Harley before on videos and all. She's the first and only person I've ever actually gone on a date with. But she's currently married, and we both kind of regret not actually taking our relationship further back then and instead choosing to cut it off before it even started. We both admittedly regret that. Anyways, her questions. When did you first realize you were a girl? This is an interesting one because it's like I kind of always knew. Like, just the kind of stuff I was into, the thoughts I had, the emotions, just my general sense of being and everything. I kind of always knew, but at the same time, I never acknowledged it for multiple reasons, one of which I didn't really know about being transgender for most of my life. When I first truly, like, understood and acknowledged that I was a girl. That was in 2017, in November of 2017, like a few weeks before I actually came out officially. It was actually at YomaCon that year, and it was thanks to my friends Kieran Strange and Cassidy Roswood that I really understood that. But I think I always knew, and for most of 2017, I was looking into things and researching transgender people and stuff because I really had started to question that. So, yeah. Who's your favorite trans celebrity? Do you like big name celebrity or just anyone kind of famous? Big name celebrity, I guess I would have to say Laverne Cox. Because she's fabulous, even though I don't think she's a good singer, or I don't think she was that great in the Rocky Horror remake. I still like her. She's still a good actor, and she's an amazing person. As for just, I guess, like less big name celebrities and stuff, I would have to either say Viva Reverie or Jesse Nowak. Both of them are in the Brony fandom. Jesse Nowak is a trans male, having recently come out. And even more recently having come out is Viva Reverie, a trans female who's known for her animations as well as being in the Bronies React videos. So yeah, those two would probably be up there too for me. And I've got to meet both of them. Granted, I met both of them before they came out, and I have met Jesse after he came out as well. So now I just have to find a way to meet Viva now that he's come out as well, so I can get an updated picture and stuff. Or now that she's come out, sorry. Now that she's come out as well. Anyway, who are you rooting for in the 2020 election? Honestly, it's way too early to say that. Really, it is way too early to say that. I do have a couple favorites based on who has announced that they're running so far, such as uh, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders, obviously, Kamala Harris. I think um, AOC announced she was running too, didn't she? Because she would definitely be another. Um, and then there's actually this website that I have called I Side With. You can put in your choices for all of these different issues and stuff, and it will tell you which candidate you actually am most compatible with. Um, Let me just get this up because I want to show that, or mention that. Uh, so according to the quiz, currently I am most compatible with Tulsi Gabbard, with Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders following closely behind. Beto O'Rourke is up there as well, Julian Castro. Um, let's see, Elizabeth Warren, Andrew Yang, so on and so forth. And Trump, obviously, at the very bottom. But yeah, pretty much all of them are either running independent or Democrat, that I side with. Um, yeah, Republicans, not even close. But yeah, definitely someone like that, basically one of those candidates. But like I said, it's way too early to truly say. There's going to be a lot that's going to come out with that starting next year once the race really starts going, obviously. So we'll see when we get closer. Have you ever seen anyone else fully naked? And that's a question that is really kind of what I was going for with this Q&A when I was like saying, oh, you can ask anything. People were asking like some pretty tame stuff, and then Harley just comes out with, have you ever seen anyone else fully naked? See, that's kind of more of what I was thinking people were going to ask. Yes, I have seen multiple people completely naked. And funny enough, not in the places you would think. Like, you would think, like, oh, a high school locker room. Of course, when people are changing and stuff, you might see them naked and stuff. Actually, no. In high school locker rooms and stuff, I would always I would personally change in a bathroom stall, and I would avoid looking at anyone in there. I was so fucking nervous about that. So fucking uncomfortable. Um, and the funny thing is, the points where I've seen other people fully naked are like the points where it's like, oh, kind of that's kind of something. And it's like people, when I've told this to before, have like been surprised that nothing actually came of anything. Um, Stuff like in cases where I've like played like spin the bottle or truth or dare stuff. Yeah, some of the friends I've played with in that did some dares and stuff where they've stripped completely naked and stuff like that. No, it never went like into full-fledged sex or anything, and no one ever like touched another person. It's just mostly like, it's just like, oh, strip and stay naked for 5 minutes. That was pretty much how it went down. Stuff like that. Um, and there were a couple other examples, but I think that there's a question further on in this that would actually come more into play with, maybe, I think. Yeah, actually the very next question. So let's just go into that. What is the closest you've ever gotten to ever having sex? Also, I don't know why I said ever twice there. It's only in the actual question once. What's the closest you've gotten to ever having sex? So she asked this of me knowing I'm asexual. And I've actually gotten surprisingly pretty close. Multiple times when I was a teenager and in college. So let me explain. When I was a teenager, I had a couple friends and everything who were definitely a lot more of what you would consider the stereotypical teenagers. And one of them was very sexually open. Like, I don't know if he was super active with sex. I don't know if like he had a lot of it, but he was okay with sex and he was all good for it. Um, and at one point I was hanging out with him, and we were hanging out with another friend of his, this girl, and she basically she started asking me if I wanted to fuck her. And she was like stripping. I don't know if she was drunk or something, but we were the only ones in the house, mind you. And she was even back then I was known for being quite shy and nervous around people, and I was very uncomfortable with a lot of stuff, and I was definitely uncomfortable with this, but I almost gave in and I did it. In fact, I was actually convinced to start stripping myself. But again, it never went anywhere. No one ever touched anything, but I got close because I almost gave in. The only reason, honestly, that I stopped was because I realized the time and I had to get going. Otherwise, I would get in trouble. I'm not even joking. I was basically saved by noticing the time on the clock, because I had to get home and all by a certain time. But yeah, like we probably would have done it otherwise. And I mean, at that time, I didn't know I was asexual. Admittedly, I did not know. I thought I was weird for not wanting sexual encounters and whatnot. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was convinced into almost doing it, because I thought I was weird and I thought I needed to actually encounter this stuff to be normal and all. And I now realize that's not true, but still. Um, and there are actually, funny enough, a couple other occasions similar to that. There was this one girl in high school who actually really liked me and wanted to have sex with me, which is the weirdest thing because it's like one of the only people who ever actually liked me. We never went on a date or anything, but it's like she was just trying to get with me and stuff, trying to do all that. I basically had to straight up tell her, I'm not interested. I'm sorry. I like you as a friend. I am not interested in you that way, though. And it's like it got pretty pretty close though, pretty damn close. And the thing is, we only really knew each other from one or two classes, and the big one being gym class, which at the time, for some reason, are like depending on the time of year, we were either in gym or we were at the pool doing a swimming class. And it's like a lot of the time when we were in a swimming class, she would get very flirty during that part. And it's like we after I turned her down, it's like we did remain friends and everything, and but eventually we did lose contact after I moved out of there, and I just didn't keep in contact. I didn't keep in contact with anyone from that school. I was in that school for like half a year, and that's it. um, but moving on. The point is, with those two questions, I have seen other people fully naked before, a few times even, and I have actually gotten close to having sex, but haven't actually done so. Uh, Harley's next question, what is your worst nightmare? That's a tough one, because it's like, do you mean like worst nightmare as in like an actual like dream nightmare, or do you mean like nightmare as in like what is the worst possible thing you can imagine happening? I'll answer both. Worst possible thing I can imagine happening is Trump getting reelected next year. Honestly, I'm being completely serious. I think it would be devastating for this country. It would be even worse than it is now, and it's really fucking bad now. Worst nightmare in terms of literal sense, as in like dream nightmare. I used to have this recurring nightmare when I was younger about being trapped in a car that was surrounded by wolves who suddenly got in by opening the door, and I would always wake up right as that happened, um, every single time without fail. And I have no idea why the dream kept happening. I don't know like what the hell it was about or anything or what it was supposed to mean. All I know is that it freaked me out when I was younger. I haven't had it in years, but still. Um, okay, so next question. If your partner wanted to have sex with you, would you oblige? So if I were with someone, guy, girl, non-binary, doesn't matter to me, but if I were with someone and they wanted to have sex with me, like they desired that, would I oblige for them, basically, for their sake? And the answer is yes. If I was with a partner and they wanted to have sex with me, I probably would. Because here's the thing. I'm not repulsed by sex or anything. I'm not like disgusted by it or anything like that. I just don't personally want it. I don't desire to have sex with anyone. But if my partner did and wanted to have sex with me and wanted me to have sex with them despite that, I don't see why not. It's not like I'd be opposed to the act. I just don't want to personally. So, I mean, I guess you could probably call that like I'm a very light asexual. Like I'm not repulsed by it. I'm not like super against it, but I just personally do not want it. It's not something I will like ask for. It's not something I will search after or anything. But if like I were with a partner and I loved them and they wanted it, and then I guess sure. um, Next question, dream cosplay. Oh, easily Korra from The Legend of Korra. I've always wanted to cosplay her. Just, it's really hard because it's a very specific costume, and everywhere I've found the costume will always costs a lot, especially with it having to be tailored to my size and everything. So, yeah. um, Celebrity you'd love to meet the most. If in terms of a convention or something, like meeting someone at a convention, uh, that's a tough one because there's quite a few actually. Um, Probably Chris Sabat would be a big one. Chris Sabat's a great voice actor. Just does great jobs in pretty much everything he's in. So he would probably be a big one that I would love to meet. Travis Willingham would be fantastic. Yeah, there's quite a few. In terms of like big name celebrities and stuff, like really big name, Mark Hamill would be phenomenal to meet. Um, Someone like that probably. Zelda Williams would be cool. Going back to just smaller voice actors and stuff, Janet Varney, the voice of Korra, would love to meet her. Almost forgot about that. People like that, I guess. Next question. Who should defeat Thanos going to Avengers Endgame? Um, my kind of opinion on Avengers Endgame and how Thanos should be fully defeated and all. Obviously, with her being the strongest member of the Avengers and the just overall strongest character in the MCU, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, has to have a big part in that. But I do not think she should land the killing blow. The final blow to Thanos should be landed by one of the original Avengers, one of the people honestly affected by this the most. And my gut leans towards Tony because he's lost so fucking much with this. I mean, Peter is a big one. Him losing Peter and everything, basically a surrogate son for himself. You saw how much that devastated him. He would definitely be a good choice for the final blow. Or hell, another good one would be Peter Quill, Star-Lord. He's lost a shit ton as well. He lost fucking Gamora, who was Thanos' adopted daughter. So that would also be a very good choice. Or even Thanos' other daughter, Nebula. There are some good choices there for who was affected the most by this, who would be a good option for landing the final blow. But I still think Carol has to have a major part in defeating him. Because that's kind of why she's being brought in at this point. Because everyone else alone, or even together, aren't enough. So, next up, how do you think Star Versus should end? Um, Since Starverse just recently started up again with its final season and all, that's a timely question. How do I think Starverse should end? Honestly, with the crowning of Star as the new Queen of Muni. I just think it makes the most sense narratively. Whether or not Eclipsa gives up the throne on her own or something happens to her to stop her from being able to rule, I think it should end with Star being crowned queen. It's kind of been built up throughout the entire series. It narratively makes the most sense, and it would really be a strong ending to a fantastic series. What would you do for $1 million? I would do a lot more than you would think for $1 million. Let's be honest. And not because I necessarily want the money itself, because I'd probably give the vast majority of it away to charities like St. Jude's and whatnot. But I would actually do a lot to get it so I could donate all of that to St. Jude's for one, but also, admittedly, for some stuff for myself, I would use it for, yeah. But I would do a lot to get that. I would have sex for $1 million, straight up, despite the fact that I am asexual. I mean, why not? There's a lot I wouldn't do. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to kill someone. But it's like if I just have to punch someone, you see those on social media all the time. Would you punch your brother for $1 million? It's like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. In fact, I'd let him punch me too and so we'd both have $1 million. Stuff like that. It's like, yeah, of course. There's a lot I would do. Obviously, there's a lot I wouldn't do. I wouldn't kill someone. I wouldn't sexually abuse someone. Stuff like that. Of course not. I would never go too far, but there's a lot I would do still. Because, again, it could help so many people out, so many kids with St. Jude's and stuff. It would just be so helpful and so important. Current favorite song. Ooh, that's a tough one. Do I have my phone right around here? I do not. Oh, no, it's in my pocket. I forgot it was in my pocket. I actually have a playlist on here on my phone at all times of like my favorite songs. My current favorite songs. Let me see if I can look through this and find which one I would count as my current #1 favorite. I'm actually really into Trader's Requiem by Daisuke Hasegawa, the new theme song for JoJo right now. I love Super Duper Diva, or Supa Dupa Diva by Dal Shabe. Neon by Jeff and Casey Lee. Rainbow by Kesha, I'm actually really into right now. Human Being by KT Tunstall. Let's see here. For some K-pop stuff, I'm into Woo by Rainbow, and pretty much anything that Red Velvet puts out. Lucifer by Shiny. Stuff like that. You get the general idea. I don't know what I would say is my current favorites, like just #1 out of those, though. My favorite of all time would be Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, though. Are there any singers or bands that you actively hate? Yes. I can name two. No, I can name three right off the bat. So for singers, I despise Nicki Minaj. She is a terrible role model, a terrible person. She's just, ugh, I hate her so much. I hate Taylor Swift with a burning passion. She's absolutely terrible. And for bands, Blood on the Dance Floor. If you've never listened to their music, don't. It's absolutely horribly atrocious. Not just in terms of quality necessarily, but in terms of lyrical content and shit. It's shit. It's just utter shit. Thoughts on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation? That's an interesting one because I never stood up for Johnny Depp when he was being accused of all of this domestic abuse and stuff. I didn't like hate on him as some others did. I thought that, yeah, oh, he's terrible, it's bad. Um, but I don't think like he should be replaced in like the Fantastic Beasts movies as an example, stuff like that. I thought it was ridiculous that some people would boycott a movie just because of that as well. Um, because I just think it would be a bad mistake to change a character's entire actor at that point. But the point, anyways, being, um, um, it's apparently been revealed that with all of this evidence and stuff, that Johnny Depp was not the abuser, that it was actually Amber Heard, and that she had falsely accused him of doing what she actually had done. And there's supposedly a shit ton of evidence, and everybody's realizing this, and it's just completely turning around. And honestly, if this is all true, and she was the abuser the entire time, and he was innocent and just being blamed for it, then yeah, I sympathize with him, and I'm completely on his side. And that's terrible, and Amber Heard should be imprisoned if that's the case. Because that's horrible. That's evil, if true, what she did. So yeah, cartoon characters you'd break your asexuality for. I didn't read all of these before posting them. I just kind of copied them and put them into a Word document so I'd have everyone's together. I completely I didn't read all of these like when I was just I was copying them right before I recorded this video. Um, and I forgot some of them when I was from the last time I did this, the last time I recorded this. I completely forgot this question. Cartoon characters you'd break your asexuality for, male, female, and or non-binary. So basically, which cartoon characters would I fuck? And I assume it would count anime characters and shit too. Um, uh, well, as I've said, I'm asexual in terms of where I just don't personally want sex. I'm not like opposed to it. I'm not disgusted by it. It doesn't like offend me or anything. Um, so basically, and I talked about before how if like I had a partner who I was in love with and they wanted sex, I would have sex with them probably because um, just for their sake and all. But basically, what this is saying is there any cartoon characters that you are just so extremely attracted to that you would be willing to fuck them? That's basically what this is saying. Oh, damn it, Harley. Yes, there are characters like that. Um, basically, it comes down to the same kind of question as if, oh, if I was with someone, would I have sex with them? It's kind of like if some strange alternate reality, I had the opportunity to have sex with like these cartoon characters and they asked and they wanted it and everything, would I do it? And again, with certain characters, yes. If I had to name specific examples, Narancia from JoJo Ventoreo would be a big example of that. Ruka Urashibara from Steins Gate would be another good one. Well, obviously Korra and Asami from Legend of Korra. those are notable ones. Um, Undyne or Alphys from Undertale, if we're going to count games in there at all. Um, there's a lot of like buff girl characters I probably would. Mason as a good example from Hustle Cat. There's characters who I definitely would uh, break my asexuality for. With non-binary, definitely go for Stevani from Steven Universe. um, but in all seriousness, no, not Stevani because that would be weird for multiple reasons. But for non-binary, for something that would be less weird, probably maybe Hanji Zoe from Attack on Titan. They're pretty. That'd be pretty cool. Or maybe Envy from. Ooh, Envy, yeah, yeah. I know Envy is horrible and evil and disgusting. Envy from Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. but damn it, they are fucking hot. I don't even give a shit. Um, but yeah, I fully acknowledge that. So yeah, going with what I was talking about earlier with the other questions in this kind of subject. Yeah, I guess you could kind of call myself. I could kind of call myself a light asexual because there are certain situations in which I would be willing to have sex. Not that I want it, not that I desire it. I don't like have a sex drive, basically. I don't actively desire sex. I don't, or anything like that. But yeah, there are certain situations where I probably would. Hardest thing about being trans. There's a lot. Um, Probably the hardest, though, the one that bothers me and gets to me the most is the fact that I live with a transphobic asshole. That being my father. That's probably the hardest thing for me about being trans. Just having to live with him and hear his bullshit all the time and hear him listening to his bullshit all the time. That's extremely transphobic and disgusting. That would be the hardest part. Worst fears. Um, I have fears of heights, uh, fear of bugs. I despise bugs. Oh my god, they're so creepy. Um, I have a fear of loneliness, a fear of dying without having accomplished anything, which is really weird. I have a fear of dying without having accomplished anything, but I have absolutely no real like goals in my life to accomplish. I guess I guess it's more like instead of like just a fear of not accomplishing anything, it's more of a fear of just not doing anything. More of like I don't want to live a life and die without having ever done anything that really makes the life, in my opinion, worth living. That's a better way to put it. Dying without living a life worth living. Um, and of course, I have a deep fear of having a job, which seems really weird and out of nowhere and all, but if you've known my past with that, you might understand. Stuff like that, though. Harley's next question, though, is favorite game. Currently, my favorite game, I think, is Detroit Become Human. I just really love the game. But there's other really big ones out there as well. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's a great one. Evil Within 2, stuff like that. There's a lot of great games. Are you more feminine or masculine? Uh, I would say I'm more feminine than masculine, but I still have some masculine traits and some just kind of neutral traits. I am very feminine. I like very feminine things. I like dressing in dresses and blouses and stuff much more so than just t-shirts and sweatpants and shit like I wear all the time. I wish I could honestly dress more feminine most of the time. I tend to act very stereotypically feminine. I'm I love being called cute and shit. I'm into a lot of feminine things, stuff like that. Yeah, I would say I'm more feminine than masculine, but I do have some neutral traits as well. I do have some masculine traits as well. It's just there's a mix of both. There's a mix of all of that, but I would say mostly feminine. And the final question, where in the world would you like to visit most? Like on a vacation or something, I assume. Um, there's a few places, but the most would probably be Tokyo, Japan. Specifically the Akihabara district. Basically, nerd capital of the world. That would definitely be my number one, but I would love to visit France. That's definitely high on my list. Um, Germany would be amazing to get to visit. I would love to visit the UK, um, various places here and there throughout the world. Maybe South America, maybe like Brazil or whatnot. Um, I would be completely cool with visiting Canada. But yeah, the big ones would probably be Tokyo, Japan, and Paris, France. Though any part of Japan or France would be fine. So yeah, that is all I've got, at least that I could find again. If there's any questions that you guys had asked before that I missed, please leave them in the comments below and I'll ask them. And again, or I'll answer them in the comments. And again, anything is all right. As you could tell by Harley's question, she went all out with that. Anything you want to ask is okay. No limits. Um, no limits at all. Uh, and again, if you didn't ask questions originally, but you want to ask a few now, again, ask them in the comments below. And again, sorry for this video being so long. It's just about an hour long. I really didn't plan for that, but it just kind of happened. Sorry about that. Hopefully you got through this fine, and if not, oh well. There's nothing I could really do about it. I mean, I don't know how I would cut down a lot of this, really. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, whether you were watching it all the way through or whether you were just kind of listening to it while doing something else. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.